Imagine showing up to a party 30 years before it starts. That's exactly what these car engineers did. They built technology so far ahead of its time that people laughed, ignored, or flat out refused to buy it. Then, decades later, the same ideas came back. And suddenly everyone called them brilliant. Here are 20 car features that the world just wasn't ready for. Number 1, the self-parking fifth wheel, 1933. Before parking sensors, before cameras, before any of that, there was a guy named Brooks Walker who said, what if the car just sidestepped into the spot? He built a hidden fifth wheel under the rear bumper. Drop it down, lift the back slightly, and the whole car would pivot sideways into a parallel space like a shopping trolley. In 1933, people watching it live thought it was a magic trick. It died because it was expensive, stole trunk space, and people called it unnecessary. But here's the thing, the problem it was solving, still very much real. Today's self-parking systems do the exact same job, just with software instead of a wheel. Walker had the right idea. He just had it 70 years too early. Number 2, heated seats, 1966. Cold morning, frozen seat. You know the feeling. Cadillac knew it too, back in 1966. Their Fleetwood had heating elements built right into the cushion and a temperature sensor that automatically switched them on when it dropped below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. The car was warming your seat before you even complained about the cold. People thought it was excessive, unnecessary, a rich person's toy. Then winter kept being winter, and people kept wanting to be warm. Heated seats slowly crept back in, first as a luxury, then as something you'd find in almost any new car today. Sometimes the market needs time to realize what it actually wants. Number 3, rear view camera, 1956. In 1956, when most families were still getting used to owning a television, Buick showed a concept car with a camera mounted on the rear, feeding a live image to a screen on the dashboard. The idea was perfect. No blind spots, safer reversing, a cleaner, more modern cockpit. But the cameras of that era were bulky, blurry, and expensive. So it stayed a concept car fantasy. Fast forward to 2018, and the US government made rear cameras mandatory on every new car sold. Buick wasn't dreaming. It was just stuck waiting for the technology to catch up to the vision. Number 4, headlights that turn with you, 1948. Here's a simple question. Why do your headlights point straight ahead when you're turning a corner? Preston Tucker asked the same thing in 1948. His Tucker 48 had a center headlight that physically rotated with the steering wheel, lighting up the corner before the car turned into it. On dark country roads, this wasn't a gimmick. It was genuinely useful. The problem? Many US states only allowed 2 headlights. The third lamp created legal headaches, and Tucker's company collapsed under financial and legal chaos before the idea could spread. Today, adaptive headlights that swivel with your steering are a premium safety feature. Tucker just built them 70 years early, with no computers, no sensors, just common sense. Number 5, suspension that thinks, 1955. Normal suspension fights the road. The 1955 Citroën DS negotiated with it. It used nitrogen spheres and hydraulic fluid instead of traditional springs. The result was a ride so smooth, so composed, that journalists struggled to describe it. It self-leveled. It adjusted ride height automatically. It stayed flat whether you had 1 passenger or 4 plus luggage. It was, by all accounts, engineering sorcery. The downside? It needed specialists to fix it. Regular mechanics had no idea what they were looking at. So, it scared people off. But the idea never died. Modern air suspension systems in luxury SUVs and high-end sedans follow the exact same logic. A car that actively manages its own ride, Citroën just figured it out first. Number 6, 4-wheel steering, 1987. Most people assume 4-wheel steering is a modern invention. It isn't. Honda put it on the 1987 Prelude using a fully mechanical system. No electronics, just clever engineering. At low speeds, the rear wheels turned opposite to the fronts, making the car nimble enough to squeeze through tight spots. At high speeds, they turned the same direction, making lane changes feel planted and confident. Journalists loved it. Enthusiasts felt the difference immediately. But regular buyers didn't want to pay for something they couldn't show off. It faded out. Today, Porsche, Ferrari, BMW, and Mercedes all use electronic rear-wheel steering as a performance and safety feature. Honda proved it worked decades ago, with gears and linkages alone. Number 7. Smart fuel injection, 1969. Old carburetors were basically guessing. They mixed fuel and air and hoped for the best, regardless of temperature, altitude, or engine conditions. The 1969 Volkswagen Type 3 changed that with a Bosch electronic fuel injection system that used sensors to read actual conditions and deliver exactly the right amount of fuel in real time. The result was easier cold starts, sharper throttle response, better efficiency, and lower emissions. Skeptics worried. What if the electronics fail? Who fixes it? The industry answered that question by making electronic fuel injection standard on literally every car built today. The Type 3 was one of the first to prove that smart fuel delivery wasn't a luxury. It was the obvious future. Number 8. The engine that made America obsessed with power, 1949. The 1949 Oldsmobile Rocket 88 didn't introduce a gadget. It introduced a feeling. Its high-compression overhead valve, V8, delivered power that genuinely shocked people in the post-war era. It then went and proved itself on early NASCAR tracks, winning races in a car that normal families could actually buy. People didn't just like it, they obsessed over it. You can trace the DNA of every modern muscle car, every high-performance American V8, back to this moment, when a regular production car suddenly felt alive. That's not a small thing. That's a cultural shift wrapped in sheet metal. Number 9. The digital dashboard, 1980. Aston Martin looked at traditional gauges and dials in 1980 and said, "We can do better." Their Lagonda arrived with a fully digital instrument cluster, glowing screens, touch-style controls, a cabin that looked like it belonged in a sci-fi film. On launch day, it was jaw-dropping. In ownership, it was a nightmare. Early electronics couldn't handle the heat, vibration, and daily abuse of real driving. Screens failed. Repairs cost a fortune. Aston's ambition had outrun the technology available to support it. But here's the thing, they were right. Today, fully digital dashboards are standard across almost every segment, from budget hatchbacks to hypercars. The Lagonda was a correct vision executed 20 years too soon. Number 10. Heads-up display, 1988. Fighter pilots have had information projected onto their visors for years. The logic is simple. If your eyes are looking down at gauges, they're not watching where you're going. In 1988, Oldsmobile borrowed this exact concept from military aviation and put it in the Cutlass Supreme, projecting your speed onto the windshield so you never had to drop your gaze. Early versions were limited and expensive, so the feature stayed rare for years, but the concept was always sound. As projection technology improved, HUDs became one of the most genuinely useful features in modern cars, showing speed, navigation cues, and warnings without pulling your attention off the road. All because Oldsmobile looked at a jet cockpit and thought, that should be in a Chevy. Number 11. Auto-dimming mirror, 1959. Night driving used to mean constant torture from headlights blazing through your rearview mirror. In 1959, Cadillac decided drivers shouldn't have to deal with that. Their DeVille used a sensor to detect bright light from behind and automatically dim the mirror, before the glare could mess with your vision. People called it over-engineered, too fancy, not worth the price. Then cheaper electronics arrived, and auto-dimming mirrors quietly spread to nearly every car on the road. They're so normal now that most drivers don't even think about them until they drive an older car and spend an entire night trip squinting. Then they understand exactly what Cadillac was solving. Number 12. Wipers that know it's raining, 1970s. Manually adjusting your wipers in the middle of a rainstorm while trying to drive is genuinely annoying. Citroën agreed in the 1970s. Their SM had a sensor on the windshield that detected moisture, switched the wipers on automatically, and adjusted speed based on how hard it was raining. The car was reading the weather and responding, without you touching anything. It stayed rare because the tech was expensive and sometimes unreliable. But once components got better through the 90s, rain-sensing wipers spread fast. Citroën's habit was always the same: build the future, then wait for everyone else to notice. Number 13. The seatbelt reminder, beep, early 1970s. Few features in automotive history have been more hated and more life-saving at the same time. Ford's early 1970s seatbelt reminder chime was just an alarm that wouldn't stop until you buckled up. Drivers hated it. They pulled fuses, they cut wires, they complained loudly, but the data was ruthless. As reminders spread, seatbelt usage went up. Fatalities went down, measurably. The annoying part was the whole point. It worked on human laziness better than any safety campaign ever could. Today, the chime is mandatory in many markets, and most drivers just buckle up automatically without even registering the sound. Mission accomplished, whether people liked it or not. Number 14, power windows, 1940. A button that rolls your window down. Today, completely normal. In 1940, it felt like witchcraft. Packard offered power windows that year as a luxury feature, and the reaction was split. Rich buyers loved it. Everyone else assumed it was a toy for people with too much money. Over the following decades, the technology got cheaper. It trickled down through the segments. By the 1980s and 90s, you'd find power windows in budget cars. Today, manual windows feel genuinely strange, like something from a museum. That's what happens when a luxury feature is good enough. It doesn't stay a luxury, it just becomes the standard. Number 15, climate control that manages itself, 1964. Before automatic climate control, keeping a comfortable temperature inside a moving car was a constant battle. Turn this dial, adjust that vent, too hot now, too cold, start again. The 1964 Cadillac 60 Special ended that argument. You set a temperature. The car handled everything else. Fan speed, heat, cooling, airflow, adjusting automatically as conditions changed outside. The car started taking care of you. That was the shift. It stayed expensive for years. But by the 1990s, it was mainstream, and now dual zone and tri-zone climate systems are completely normal. Cadillac didn't invent comfort. It invented the idea that comfort should maintain itself. Number 16, side airbags, 1994. Front airbags were already becoming common in the early 90s, but Volvo looked at crash data and realized there was a much scarier problem: side impacts, where there are only a few inches between your body and the door. Their 1994 850 introduced a side airbag built into the seat bolster, designed to deploy in milliseconds and protect your chest and pelvis. The industry watched closely. Then they stopped watching and started copying, because the injury reduction numbers were hard to argue with. Today, side airbags, curtain airbags, and layered impact protection are expected in every car. Volvo made it impossible to justify not having them by treating crash statistics as a moral problem, not a marketing one. Number 17, navigation before, GPS, 1981 to 1986. GPS navigation on your phone feels so obvious now that it's hard to imagine cars without it. But Toyota was experimenting with screen-based driving guidance back in 1981. And by 1986, Honda's Japanese market Accord had a system using gyroscopes, wheel sensors, and electronic maps on a black and white CRT screen. No satellites, just math and motion tracking to show your approximate position as you drove. It wasn't perfectly accurate, but watching your route trace itself across a screen in 1986 felt genuinely surreal. Once GPS became accessible to consumers, the industry snapped straight into place. Those early engineers weren't guessing at the future, they were already building it. Number 18, turbos for regular people, 1978. Before 1978, turbocharged engines belonged to racing cars and temperamental supercars. Too complex, too fragile, too demanding for everyday driving, or so everyone assumed. Saab quietly dismantled that assumption with the 99 Turbo. Same displacement as the normal engine, dramatically more power, and daily driver reliability that shocked the critics. Early turbos still had lag and ran hot, but as emissions rules tightened and efficiency targets got stricter, turbos became the industry's go-to solution. Smaller engines producing bigger power. Today, turbos are everywhere. Economy cars, family SUVs, supercars. Saab's breakthrough wasn't the turbo itself. It was proving that ordinary people would happily live with one. Number 19, All-wheel drive on a sports car, 1966. AWD used to mean one thing: utility, military trucks, off-roaders, vehicles built for mud and mountains. The 1966 Jensen FF challenged that idea by fitting a sophisticated AWD system into a sleek, fast Grand Tourer, alongside early anti-lock braking technology. The result was composure on wet roads and cold surfaces that rear-wheel drive rivals simply couldn't match. Only about 320 were ever built. Too complex, too expensive, but the concept was completely correct. AWD went on to become a performance weapon, then a mainstream expectation. Audi's Quattro era eventually convinced the public, but Jensen had the blueprint ready 15 years earlier. Number 20, anti-lock brakes, 1971. This might be the most important feature on this entire list. When you hit the brakes hard in a panic, the natural instinct is to stamp and hold, but a locked skidding wheel can't steer, and often doesn't stop as quickly either. ABS pulses the brake pressure far faster than any human can, keeping the wheels rolling, maintaining grip, and letting you steer around the obstacle while still braking hard. Chrysler offered an early electronic ABS system on the Imperial in 1971. It was a major step. It was also fragile and expensive, not ready for mass production yet. Robust systems arrived in the 1980s. By 2013, ABS was legally required on every new passenger vehicle sold in the US. Every time ABS saves someone from a crash, and it does every single day, that story starts with a 1971 Imperial that most people have never heard of. Look across all 20 of these, and one truth keeps showing up. The ideas were almost always right. The timing was almost always wrong. These engineers saw clearly where things were heading. They built it anyway. Then they watched the world spend decades slowly coming around to what they had already made. Being first doesn't get you applause. It gets you skepticism, budget cuts, and people telling you it's unnecessary, right up until it becomes standard equipment on every car, in every showroom. The next time a new feature looks like overkill, remember, history has a habit of proving overkill right. It just takes a while.